speak to you about people in the Old Testament and the New Testament, because as a Bible study, that's one of the things that we want to do, make these figures jump off the page, as it were, to you. You know, and I'm going to go way, way, way back to the beginning. And how far could I go if I didn't go to Eve and to Adam? You know, Adam and Eve kind of have a bad rap, because in a way, it's easy for us to tell them what we would have done in their place, you know. You know, Adam, and by Adam and Eve, I mean the people who they represent, the ideas that they represent. But really, the church fathers firmly place Adam and Eve in heaven, because the idea is that they redeem themselves from their disastrous decision through the toil, through the labor, through all the things that they had to go through. So you'll see a lot of these figures in the Old Testament. You could put them in a bad column, bad boy, bad girl, but in another way you can put them in a saint column too. And that's the message of hope for all of us. You know, I gave a talk once called Bad Girls of the Bible, and I call them vamps, tramps, and saints. And I don't have time to do that here, but the idea was that some people who you could classify even as maybe somebody who, you know, didn't behave very well, in the end get a reference in God's Word, and they are preserved for all time. Okay? Let me give you an example. How many of us know who Tamar was? Okay. Tamar was a Canaanite woman living almost in the Neolithic period, okay? We're talking at least a couple of millennia before Christ. Well, a little bit less than that. And she was probably a member of a Canaanite family. We know she was not an Israelite. And she had the misadventure of being given as wife to one of the sons of Judah. Now, do we know who Judah is? You do know who Judah is. Judah, one of the patriarchs. Okay, one of the 12 sons of Jacob, one of the ancestors of the Messiah. He's known as the Lion of Judah. Judah had 3 sons, and this poor girl was given in marriage first to one who died, then to the other one who died, then to the third one who died. And the stigma, unfortunately, was on her. You didn't have kids by this line, therefore go home. Judah sent her back home to her father's house, which was the height of disgrace in that culture at that time. And so what happened? She became creative. Does anybody know what she did? She dressed up as a prostitute, didn't she? As a ritual prostitute, and waylaid Judah, her father-in-law, on the road, and lo and behold became pregnant from him. From goody two-shoes Judah, who had sent her home. And lo and behold, she has twins, and one of these twins' names is Perez. And anybody know? He's not Latino. Who's Perez? Who's Perez? Perez is one of the ancestors of the Messiah. And she is named in the genealogy. If you went to Mass yesterday, they named, it was the birthday of Mary, the birth of Mary, and they read the genealogy in Matthew, or maybe it was the other day, the genealogy in Matthew, and there's 4 women named in the ancestry of the Messiah. And Rahab is one, Tamar is another, and Bathsheba is another. Now, what was Rahab's profession? She owned a house of ill repute, didn't she? Just to put it genteelly. In Jericho. Tamar was a very creative person, we should say. What did Bathsheba do? Bathsheba was very clean. Anybody get that? Bathsheba did what? Bathsheba would take long baths right under the windows of the royal palace, so David could take a good look. And in fact, that's what happened, because David becomes a murderer, an adulterer, a liar, a schemer, and a cheat for Bathsheba's sake. And yet what happens? Bathsheba and David marry. They pay a heavy price for their deception, of course. They have a son named Solomon. And Bathsheba gets to be the first of the great royal ladies of Israel, the Gebirah, the queen mothers who sit at the right hand of the king and intercede for the people. She actually becomes an archetype of Mary, the Mother of God, in her role as intercessor. Who would have figured? Do you think she would have thought that at the time? Do you think her friends would have thought about that at the time? So what's my point? My point is this. God, and I've seen this before, uses crackpots. God writes straight with crooked lines.